Welcome to episode 2 of the Center Stage Beauty podcast. Last episode, we spoke about the many wonders of being a hairstylist and also to the pitfalls of just being in the beauty and entertainment space. Today's guest is a dresser with a costume design and art background. Yes, this girl loves everything fashion. What is a costume designer? A costume designer is a person responsible for designing the costumes, making sure they matches the specific time period, and also to being able to invoke the director's vision for the play or production. What are some of the responsibilities of a costume designer? Reading the full script, making and marking notes on areas that affect the costume, researching the time period and setting of the play, researching fashion and the specific time periods, designing the costume for each and every character that's on set, liaising with the director on any areas or room for improvement within the costumes. The estimated total pay of a costume designer in New York is $56,880 per year, with an average salary of $53,670 per year. This data was gathered by Glassdoor.com. Our guest today is Angela M. Fludd, and I work currently with her on a Broadway production, and we are both represented by IATSE Local Union. She is an experienced fashion stylist, costume designer, and has an extensive art background. Angela, welcome to Center Stage.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
Now, for the viewers and listeners, Angela, could you tell me a little bit about your background?
I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
To a fashionista mama and a pattern making pops. My father has been working in fashion since I was a little girl. Mm-hmm. He's by trade a pattern maker.
Okay.
My mom was a working professional and she was a homemaker, but she was my first introduction into fashion and style.
Wow.
So I've been working in fashion and entertainment for over 10 years. Mm. And as an educator for approximately 3 for organizations such as Harlem Children's Zone and Fordham University.
Very nice. So you're basically born to do this.
Basically, it's my genes. It's my blood.
Now, tell me a little bit about your family. Do you have any siblings? What's that looking like? Were you the only artist? Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm the second youngest out of 5 girls.
Wow.
My younger sister and I were from my mom and dad's relationship. My 3 older sisters are from my dad's previous marriage and relationship. As for are there any artists in the family? I think to a degree we're all artists. My older sister, she is a really great illustrator, but she didn't make a career out of it. It's just something cool that she just knows how to do.
And, just like leisure.
I remember as a little kid, she just rendered something. I was like, why don't you
pursue this? Like this?
She was like, no. I was like, okay. So if you just fly like that, you just have a skill. You just, you're not even making money off of it. It's just something she does for fun.
For fun, okay.
And my sister, she has a hospitality background and a medical background. And her science brain and her food brain makes her a wicked chef and cook. Like she's currently a homemaker, but she can make some mean food.
Oh, nice.
So that's her artistry.
So I guess you were at her house for Thanksgiving.
Exactly. That's why I'm going for Christmas too. And the original artists in my family were my mom and dad.
Nice.
My dad, being a pattern maker, he was also an aspiring designer. And illustration and sketching skills that I got from my dad, my older sister also got it from him as well.
Wow.
My mom is, aside from being a really great fashionista and knowing how to dress and loving clothes, she also knew how to interior design a house. My dad and mom were working tandem with each other.
That is dope. That is dope.
My mom and dad would work in tandem with each other. My mom would have a concept or an idea. She'll buy the fabric. My dad would drape the curtains. He'll drape beautiful valances. My mom would buy the fabric for the couches. And my dad would take apart the couch and reupholster it. without any instruction. It was like a skill he learned growing up. Like I would see like this entire chair in pieces, and I was like, "How do you put that back together?"
Yeah.
And he just put it back together. So in some weird way, I've always been around creativity.
Got it. But you were the only one that really took the next steps to like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to push for it. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, my dad kind of passed the torch to me in essence. And I don't think he even realized it, or I didn't even realize it, where he pursued a career in fashion and I am kind of doing the same.
Right, yeah. Because when we, get to talking and we talk about our background and you were telling me all these things, like, like you come from a business background and then you had your undergrad in fashion and then you went to Parsons. I was just like, wow, this is so dope. And then you're telling me your dad was a pattern maker. I was just like, wow, there's a lot of people that are really inherently gifted and they don't pursue the arts. And I'm just like, wow, like, I'm glad like we had that one-on-one and, our friendship, we speak about like what it is like just to be one of few.
Yes.
And, just being relentless at a young age and taking, your skill set to the next level and drawing inspiration from those that are around you and those that are not for you. Right?
Exactly.
Now, I want to know, how were you as a child?
As a child, I was really shy.
You
really
shy?
Shy, honey.
With all of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Shy, really like insecure. And I'm always, my protective space was my dream world. My younger sister and I were like partners in crime growing up. My intro to culture was my mom. What's different from the kids today and the kids back then.
Right.
My mom barely had the TV on. I was lucky to grow up in a house with a backyard, so that's where my sister and I rocked. Our lower level at the den was our play area, our room was our play area. We would create our own worlds. We would be there forever. We only come out for like food and water and go to the bathroom. We were there forever, creating our own worlds, little towns and stuff with our Barbie dolls.
Right.
Where we would be outside. We just create our own wonderland.
Yeah.
So she created this beautiful, like, safe space for us just to let our imaginations run wild.
And be able to dream and vision and, really develop you guys as like characters and coming into your own.
Yes, and also I think she was very adamant for us to be children.
Right.
And she didn't want us to grow up too fast.
Right.
And I think looking back on it, I'm really grateful for that because I think a lot of kids are robbed of that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and having that space allowed me to keep that close to me as I navigate through the industry.
Right. Just keeping you really grounded and mindful of where you came from and where you're going.
Yes.
My next question was, when did the arts infiltrate? But I think you really like covered that, being able to dream and mom creating that safe space for you to imagine and just use your brain, think outside of the box.
Yeah, like
and just being creative.
Yeah, we had some fun times growing up with my sister and I. I think aside from creating our own little worlds, upon bedtime, with Black parents, is like, when you go to bed, I don't want to hear a peep. I don't want to hear a sound from you. My sister and I would peep. So we would be in bed. Sometimes you're just restless. Like, I can't go to sleep yet. And how we would entertain with each other, we would share the same room. We would create our own stories. So we had our own story time.
Amazing.
So I think we kind of like wrote our own scripts. Okay, and just played around until someone fell asleep, and then we knew the story was over and time to go to bed.
That was it.
Yeah.
So you guys just told each other stories, really dream, little dreamers, and then it was lights out.
Yes.
So tell me, how has your relationship been with fashion?
Fashion for me is like painting a canvas. I view my body as a canvas, and painting is really a way of just expressing. This is my first space to express how I'm feeling,
right,
or work any things out, or even ask myself, why not? Let me just try something out. And I'm just blessed to have a mom that flowed in the same fashion as well. Growing up, my parents were not into designer clothes, shopping. We went to flea markets and thrift stores. So that was our play space. My mom's sense of style came from there as well. It was like going to the department stores, getting things for cheap. Like, she didn't allow like designer name labels and names to like define us. Like, we were the designer.
Yeah.
And you were given articles of clothing. So make something.
Yeah.
And create. And I think one of the most special moments that had happened to me when I was younger is when we were at a flea market, and there was a woman off in the distance, and she was just like going through these clothes at a vendor. My mom pointed her out, and she said, "What do you think of what she's grabbing?" And it was, I think, a fur jacket, and it was weird coloring. So from afar, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. And she stopped me. She was like, nothing's ever ugly. You just have to find the right person. And it stayed with me and allowed me to make things work.
Yeah.
Growing up. And another awesome realization, I think I remembered it on my way coming here, was that my mom never dressed to please any man.
Facts.
Or other people.
Yes.
It's purely about expressing herself and having fun in her own body. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. Because every time, like, we've seen each other, and even when I first started with the production, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you own every look that you come in with. I'm just like, I told Jessica, Angela, you need to dress me. I'm like, every look, it's a statement, it's you. And it's also too, you have like this energy where, people, they go for all these designers, but the design, they wear the designs, but it's not them. It's the designers wearing them, but they're not owning the design.
Yeah, I think I'm just grateful my mom allowed us to have that play space.
Play space to step into your own.
Yes, but she was a stickler on the fact that you just can't go out looking crazy.
I don't think any parent wants that.
And so like, even something's like the most, like, I'd never got into like wearing bonnets out the house, or like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I always thought, what if I bump into someone I want to work with?
Exactly. First impression. You always think about that.
So it's more or less like, I know the path I want to be on, and I want to take every moment to honor that.
Right. And, just being the best, showing the best, and your work is your canvas. So you're literally a walking billboard.
You have to taste test your own food.
That's right. And that's one of the things I admire. It's like, okay, what Angela's going to come with today? She come with something heavy today. Kelly, step it up.
Your style coming to work out, the fit is always fire. It's always a uniform. It's always, everything hits you perfectly. And I'm like, yes, Kelly. So
thank you. I appreciate that. No, I have Todd as my style guru. My husband, he always keeps me in line. Like, hey, you're going to remember, you're working amongst the best. You're in the union. You're in hair. You're in makeup. You carry yourself with a certain esteem, but also too, your wardrobe has to be lit. So I always keep that in mind, like the look, the overall look. Now, tell me who inspires you.
Who inspires me? For me, where I'm at right now, the unknown, meaning the just future. Like, where are we going to go next? And also, the unknown is also a fearful place for a lot of people. And discovery. So the unknown and discovery go hand in hand. It's just, I'm in the space of exploring why not. And taking chances and learning and growing and plugging in and see where, and charting my own course from there.
So basically, everything is kind of like your muse. You draw from people, things, and the unknown, me, Todd, everyone.
It's like I could.
You take a little bit from everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you never know where your next inspiration
is going to come from. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, that's wonderful. That's really, really great advice, because people think that a lot of the times they need to have a mood board, or they need to have like a specific vision in their head of where I'm going to go to next. And honestly, that vision or that inspiration can come from anyone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want a clear-cut answer. Like, how did you? I've watched interviews with people.
Yeah.
Like, acting like artists and actors. Like, how did you get where you are? I'm like, and they're like, I just tried.
Yeah.
And I think I've realized this over the course of my own like development and growing, that people are scared to try. And failure, the anticipation of failure cripples them. I've been through that. And me going through that, I'm able to see it now, especially with the younger generation, even in the adults. Because I think it's even worse for the adults, because we get into a mode of like being on autopilot. And thinking autopilot in that sense of safety is living. And then when something comes in to interrupt everything, for example, COVID, it shook up everyone, and everyone thought they were the baddest thing coming, until this thing came and rocked their world and realized, hey, I wasn't living the way I wanted to be. This job that I was at, I really don't want to be here. And it made people wake up and realize, like, oh, I could be doing more.
Or I can be going to something that I've always wanted to.
Yes.
You know, getting things off the bucket list and just experimenting and seeing where your talent may lie in something else. Because I was going to tell you this, and you probably know this too, when I didn't start art until 15. And the thing about me was just like, I was studying business. I was doing business studies back in Trinidad. I was in the A-level program, getting ready to go to college, studying business. And then my mentor, Ronald Smith, who is like the #1 colorist in the Caribbean, he saw me and he just looked at me and just like, have you ever tried art? Have you ever tried to paint? I was just like, no, but I'll try it. This is something new. It looks cool. It's exciting. He gave me like, I remember it's like a landscape, but like a house to do. And it's just like, I want you to do this. And every day I would come in and I would just pick up the paintbrush, just do a little bit. And then he just, always stepped back. He looked. He's just like, you need to be in this program. And it was a 2-year Cambridge accelerated art program to get into college, to pursue visual arts. And I was the only one in the program that did not come from a solid art background way back when. And Ronald, he just saw that gift in me that I never thought that I had. And sometimes it's, someone and trying new things and different things, because you never know where you land and where you're going to get your money from and eventually be that real, really, really successful. And I mean, I still did business, but I held on to my art background, which led into makeup and which led eventually into hair. So I totally understand when you say when COVID came and shook up the world, and now everyone's like, what are their next plans and what to do?
Yes. There's a lot of play it safe. I think people make the mistake of feeling that since they have been so a really long time that they are successful and that they made it.
Yeah.
I take a lot of my influence from jazz musicians.
Yes.
They know their music, but they're able to also improv. They're pretty much the only musicians that actually lose their whole brain. Mm-hmm. And I want to be like that as an artist.
Right.
And Miles Davis said the best quote, don't fear mistakes because there are none. And that's a philosophy I try to abide by. You got to go out there and make risks and have fun and figure your life out. You know, just because the things are going smoothly doesn't mean that you're actually on the right track.
Exactly. Because sometimes I find like when you're very just complacent and you're just, okay, I'm just here, I'm just on this level, you're not really challenging yourself and you're not really taking it to the next level. And, you know, you're not surrounding yourself a lot of times with the right people.
Or you're not even growing.
Right. That are going to uplift you and say, hey, I see you.
Yes.
I see you and you could be doing this. Why haven't we tried that? And a lot of times, you know, we need that, you know, you need that advice, that push, and, you know, pushing yourself too, you know, goes without saying. So tell me, Angela, at what point or when did you develop your personal style? Because I want to know. I want to know. I don't know if I had a late start or early start. I want to know if I'm the guru herself.
I think elementary. I think that point in time when your parent allows you to dress yourself is when I started developing my own personal style. Just putting things together and see what works.
What works, okay.
In school, like, I feel like I always say, like, to my students now that the world now is just adults still in high school. Either you're fully developed or you're still that little kid in an adult body trying to make it out here in the world. And in high school was like the first like really foresight into that, because I would see kids, you have the group of kids that want to be cool and want to be popular, and I would see them buy, like, every holiday season they would all buy the name brand clothes, but then when they would wear the same clothes in cycles because that's all they had.
Yeah.
Where I had endless style because my parents went flea market shopping and thrift shopping.
Yeah, well, interesting, it's true. Like, I did experience that in school.
Yeah.
They had the new outfits.
And then I'm like, oh, it's time to wear this Nietzsche suit, huh?
Yeah.
With the whole look. And then what was wild, I'll say it on camera, what was wild, it's like they will wear exactly the same. They want to switch it up. They want to break it up.
The thing is, they shop for outfits. So they could only wear the outfit. So the outfit will go with the hat, the jeans, the shoes. But the thing is, when you shop for outfits, you don't have style.
Exactly.
Because you should know how to blend and interchange. That's how you make your clothes last long if you only have a few pieces.
Exactly.
You don't know how to wear the shoes with it and pull out the earrings or wear the cap.
No, there's no thinking.
There's no thinking, but that comes with style and
knowing yourself.
Wearing things is an art. It's an art.
Yeah.
It is.
You gotta use your brain to
Mix and match patterns, colors, texture, yeah.
They can only work with one color scheme at a time. It's like a palette.
Yeah.
And they don't like to switch.
Color block, break it up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be throwing it like
textile.
And it's
patterns. They don't like to do that.
No, because a lot of times I realize the high school mindset, like I was saying, exists now. I've seen people, people in general, not have a vision, like going to high school and seeing kids wear their designer clothes or the latest kicks or the latest outfit, and they would recycle the same looks but would never break it up or change it up. It was just like, oh, here's this Nietzsche full suit again. You wore this you wore this last Friday. I guess we're wearing it again, huh? And they would never break it up or change it up. And I remember I had these LA Gears. And they were like these hiking boots. I got them from the flea market, but they were like turquoise. They were loud. I loved them. And the kids there were just like, what are you wearing? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm wearing what I like. I just never understood the mindset that I have to do what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do what you're doing. Yeah. I want to do what I'm doing, and I want you to respect it. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting how this like cult-like mindset around clothes and like
That clothes defines you, and you should be wearing this to feel like you're included in something great or something that's, like the red velvet rope to get into the club or whatever. Like, no, it's not. You can be comfortable with what you're wearing, and you can be you and in your authentic self.
And I think a lot of times people are too, especially like that in high school, people were too scared to be themselves because everyone's insecure and figure themselves out. And they're too scared to be themselves. Yeah. And stand out. And I always just did my own thing. And because of that, I always had haters. Always had haters. I'll never forget. There was this a really cool girl in high school. She wasn't cool in the way of like, the stereotypical like, cool kid. But she just moved differently from everyone else. So like, she just seemed like she should be like in college. She was very mature.
Okay.
Yeah. And she had a job in retail. She just knew fashion. And I remember one day I took yearbook class. We were seniors and we all like part of a group to assemble the yearbook. Mm-hmm. And it was our class. And I had this like knit cap on. And she looked at me. She's like, I really like your cap. I was like, thank you. And I was like, it meant a lot because, she was such a fashionista. And this one girl, she always followed me from class to class. We had classes together, but she always made it her mission to let me know that what I was doing was not that great. So, as soon as she gave me a compliment, this girl came out of left field and sat down next to me. Well, I don't really like it. I don't like your hat, Angela. I was like, that's nice. It's great. It's awesome. But when we hear of the saying of like haters make it a full-time job.
Oh yeah,
it's real. Like it was our full-time job to find me, to let me know that what I was doing was not that great. Mm-hmm. But I deal with that to this day. Like people make their mission off the street to come up to me and just like, what I think that, what you're doing is not that great. I'm like, or whatever. I'm like, that's nice, but I'm not doing this for you. And I think a lot of times I've learned the more you have haters, it's also a flag from the universe that you're on the right path.
Absolutely.
Because you're stirring people. You're leaning. I'm focused on leaning into my own design.
Right, and you're not the norm.
And not the norm.
You're different.
If you're not shaking things up and forcing people to wake up and think
and look.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And lean into their purpose or even question or wonder why. I've had, like pre-pandemic, I had a lot of people, like from down to my hair, I would like do like different styles that were not done by typical hairstylists. Mm-hmm. Even my own hairstylist would be like, I never thought of that. That's really nice. Mm-hmm. And I would be on trains and grown men would get up and just look at me and was like, I never thought of that. Thank you for showing me this.
Inspiring me.
Yeah. So I've had people come up, get out their seats and walk to me. And it's like, I just have to say this. I really like your look. I don't know. Something's pulling me to tell you this, but thank you. Mm-hmm. And like, it's cool to make people think differently, or even my goal is for when I get dressed in a day and I move in any space that people know what's possible, especially us.
Absolutely. And with your last point, you just being around you move with a certain level of excellence. Black excellence, and you always hold yourself to a very high standard. And when we saw each other, it was just like, you came up to me and it's like, I see you. And I was just like, we see each other. And it was just like looking in the mirror, honestly. It's just like, wow. And it was just that same energy. You're just like, your hair is fire. Your look is fire, Kelly. You're this. I'm just like, damn, girl. I was like, look at you. You are representing. And I was just like, wow. And it's also too amazing that when you see someone holding themselves to that standard, your own kind, your own tribe, you're just like, wow, that inspires me. And that motivates me to be a better Kelly, a better version of myself. So when I saw like, oh wow, she holds herself to a really great standard, visually, mentally, physically, everything. It questions. I was just like to myself, like, wow, like, you know, Kelly, you can step your game up. That's who you need to be around, because she envisions herself to the highest. You can take from that too and be the best in whatever you put yourself to and put your mindset to. And I take a lot of that from you. And I see you.
I see you, honey.
So, Angela, I know you studied business and you have your associates in fashion. Tell me, how challenging was that course and just getting on that road into just like, this is what it is. I'm in fashion. This is what I'm doing. And I want to know what was your navigation like from business to fashion to Parsons? Tell me.
So, funny enough, my interest first was music.
Okay.
I wanted to pursue music first. I wanted to sing. I wanted to write. But during that particular time, like lack of support and lack of community and really insecure, I didn't really follow through with it. Uh-huh. So I kind of like settled on a business degree because I'm like, what's going to work in everything? Business. Girl. I was like, this works.
Yeah. This
is going to get me the job. So I got into Brooklyn College and I studied business management and finance. Uh-huh. And there is when I still decided to write. I always kept this big book with me, and it was a book of poems and songs. So I was an avid like songwriter. I never performed anything, and back then I wish I did, but maybe I'll do that now. You never know what happens.
Exactly, yeah.
But my inspiration then was Aaliyah. Aaliyah dropped her last album, her latest album, and her influence just fell in sync with me. Like she was a tomboy, I was a tomboy. She didn't like wearing dresses. I don't like wearing dresses. And I remember the time she decided to wear a dress for the first time. I think it was Aren't You That Somebody? Video. I can't remember the exact name of the title.
I need somebody. Tell me you need somebody.
Yeah. And the choreographer convinced her to wear a dress for the first time. She wore that black number for the breakdown at the end. And I remember being home. This is someone that I always wore oversized hoodies and baggy clothes. I was real TLC. I was like not showing nobody. And I remember being on vacation with my parents and the video was playing. I was like, Mom, would you want me to wear that? And she had that beautiful like black number on it at the end. And Mom looked at the television and she was like, yes. She just wanted me to dress so bad. She's like, yes, you can wear that. I was like, yes. But I always wanted to combine music and fashion. And I think I always wanted to work with her. She was my first this person I want to work with. Mm-hmm. So when she passed away, I remember crying. I'd never felt that way about anybody. That wasn't an
effect on you, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember going home and talking to my dad. I was like, I can't stop crying. This is really weird. And my dad looked at me. He's like, yeah, I totally get you. I understand what this is about. So this is how we felt when we lost Marvin Gaye. Mm-hmm. Nice. And we kind of had that kindred moment. And I think ever since then, I was like, how am I? And maybe really wake up and realize I'm like, oh, these people I want to work with, they're not going to be around forever.
They're just like us.
Yeah, they're just like us.
Yeah.
You know, at times when we look at celebrities and artists, we kind of deify them and we forget that they're going to pass away.
Yeah, they're humans just like us. Exactly. They have a expiration time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it made me really get the ball rolling and figuring out like how to combine music and fashion. So once I graduated from Brooklyn College, I took a really crappy accounting job that wasn't the best. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we need to pivot. So I applied to design school. I applied to FIT, but did not get in. Applied to Parsons first I discovered Parsons, like once I didn't get into FIT, I was home one day and I was looking at television. There was just this channel that just had just showed different runway shows.
Right.
And at the bottom it would tell like the bio of the designer.
Project Runway, you mean?
No, this is
Pre-Project Runway.
Pre-Project Runway. Okay. I went to Parsons when Project Runway was starting. Like I'm like, I don't like dating myself.
Actually one season, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh.
So in that bio on that channel was Parsons School of Design. So I looked it up and applied and I got in.
Nice.
And it's been on and popping ever since.
Now, tell me a little bit from Parsons. Once you graduated Parsons, what was your career path? What did we go after? What did we pursue? Because I know you said from, you had this accounting good job. We had to kind of switch that up. That wasn't challenging Angela enough. Graduated from Parsons. What was the next step?
During my time at Parsons, I think what was pivotal was the fact that I did work a retail job that allowed me to learn about different designers. And also allowed me to learn the psychology of people, like me working with people. And because where I worked was like a buy-sell trade place. And so people would bring in their clothes and we review them and we buy them if like they fit what we needed. And seeing how tied people are with their clothes, and when you reject their clothes, they feel like you don't think I'm cool enough. You don't think it just seeing how so clothes are not clothes. Even though we think fashion is frivolous, we associate a lot of our identity with clothes.
Yeah, it's very
yeah.
It's self-identity. It's emotional. It's sensitive. A lot of folks are sensitive about their clothes. Also, too, people identify with their clothes. Their clothes are their statement.
And discriminate.
So it's a lot of things that goes on with fashion and being in that industry.
That retail experience taught me a lot about that. And then after me leaving retail, I had a friend from Parsons that there was no costume design class or degree in Parsons at the time. But she was on a path of becoming a costume designer, and she asked if I wanted to assist her in some production. So I started doing assistant work, like assistant stylist and set costumer on HBO productions.
Nice.
Commercials, film and television, and then soon after that, wardrobe supervising, dressing. So I started off in film and television first with her. I split off with her due to like creative differences.
Right.
And also like learning, I had to take a mental health break because I learned just how she moves, not how I wanted to move.
Right.
It was kind of toxic and it was a lot.
You really, because sometimes you really don't know people until you start working with them.
Yes. Yeah.
And being just in the entertainment space, it's, you want to get into the industry. It's, taking those hits as they come, but being able to navigate and use those opportunities as leverage to get on to the next step or where you want to be.
And I think during that time, like I was going to be grateful for like the leg up to get in the industry in that fashion, but I knew in my gut there was a healthy way of doing this.
Right, yeah.
And I was being convinced that, no, you have to be cutthroat. You have to talk behind each other's backs. You have to hurt each other in ways to keep each other from getting jobs. There was like a big scarcity mindset and the queen bee mentality that I just was not down for. It was like so exhausting. And at the end of the day, I kind of thought like, aren't you having fun? Like, no one's having fun. Everyone's just miserable.
Yeah, we're in that space, we're being creative, we're playing dress up. Why are we not having fun?
And like, you get to do this, but there's no joy or happiness.
That's our excitement. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm here, like I'm living. Yeah. I'm in the moment. I'm on film and TV, I'm dressing, but some, folks, it's, they want to climb up the totem pole.
Yes.
But they kind of, everything else gets lost in the shuffle.
Yes, I'm like, the work is hard enough as it is. I don't want to make it any more difficult. And I also realized there was this mindset. There's just a lot of isms that we deal in America that the microcosm of that effect is in every industry that you are in.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, especially predominantly women, are affected by that. And those toxic behaviors erupt, I guess, as a result. And I had to take a mental health break after.
And also too, it becomes acceptable. Like, this is the mindset to have to move up, and we have to cut each other down, and we have to do all these extra things, and it's acceptable when it's not.
Yeah.
So taking your mental health break.
I had to take a mental health break and I had to I took time for myself to understand why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you here? Also, you have the right to be here. Because I think a lot of it also was happening because of the kind of cutthroat and toxic behavior. Like, you have to be this one particular way to get in. I was also being convinced that it's going to be difficult for you, or I had to be this way to get into the union or to get ahead. I was just convinced that there was another route.
Yeah.
So me taking that mental health break allowed me to figure out, okay, what moves I wanted to make and what my intentions and purpose was. So during that mental health break period, I also, through a friend, discovered Buddhism. So that helped with a lot of healing and adopting practices that allowed me to have a stronger sense of self, especially navigating this industry.
Yes.
And by me doing that, like a lot of my manifestations and meditations, I wrote down on a piece of paper one day. I was like, I want to get back into, I want to switch it up. I want to be around music. And that manifestation led me on the journey of entering theater. So the first job I got was IATSE Lincoln Center. So I remember seeing, it was Craigslist back in the day, and seeing that this job listing, and I was like, you see things, you're like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. Something told me, it's like, do not go to sleep before you apply for this job. And I applied for it before I went to sleep. And in the morning, I had the interview, and I got the job. And at the time, I wasn't a huge jazz head. So it was still a huge learning curve for me, first for the artists who I was working with, and also just the space and the venue. And I remember the first time, working with the orchestra, working with Wynton Marsalis, who's a proclaimed jazz trumpeter, and realizing, first and foremost, I had to go do my homework. I'm not someone that just arrives on set just empty-handed and not knowing anything.
Just in a white room. Like, who's this? Who are you? Like, no, you do your research.
There's a part of me that, I need to know, I need to appreciate where I am.
Yeah. So
not being a jazz head and and also not knowing too much about him. It's like some people just come, just go to, I'm just going to keep my head down and just do the job. I came there and I was like, wow, I'm around all this music. And it clicked. I was like, I'm working with a Black man that this is his. He created this. This is amazing. So being somewhere that's Black owned, I was like, this is amazing.
Work.
Yeah. I'm somewhere that's Black owned. And it was kind of a UN for artists, like so many different artists would pass through there. And then it really helped sharpen my tool set when it came to style. And also the concept and behind the art form that is jazz. I take that with me and how I dress, It's kind of a why not sensibility. And the importance of really studying and knowing your craft is what I took from being around jazz musicians. They are very adamant about learning their past, practicing and being on point for the future, for their present, so they can take them into the future. And it creates like this really great arsenal. So like they are ready for pretty much anything.
Right.
And I just take that with me. And it was my first time being in a creative safe haven. So I remember times being there in the orchestra room while they were doing their rehearsals and watching them collaborate to bring a piece of work to life.
Together, yeah.
And also what was beautiful was each artist was awesome in their own right and have their own individual projects. And I would watch them show off each other to support, to play on each other's records. And I thought, I was like, I want that. Mm-hmm. So that I had that. That was my first like artist collective. I was like, I want that. Mm-hmm. And after me leaving Jazz at Lincoln Center, we were the ones that unionized wardrobe at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and through that is how I got into the union. I took a bit of a mental health break after that. Because
it's good to take pauses. It's good to take pauses after production, because sometimes, work consumes you. Yes. Because, people, fail to realize like when you're in theater, film, TV, whatnot, like you're on the go. We're running around with cue cards this thick to our next change. And we have to be on point.
Exactly.
There's no room for error, It's good in the sense that you love what you do, but it's a certain amount of pressure and expectation that comes with, being in entertainment. So you took your break.
Yeah, so I took my break more specifically because during that time was also 45s era. So we were getting a lot of that going on. I know under his presidency, a lot of us, it was just a lot for many of us. And at the same time, we were unionizing at Jazz at Lincoln Center. So during that time was my intro to politics. So seeing how things worked, like my whole world, like expanded. I wouldn't say exploded, but it really expanded to the point that I had to take the mental health break mainly to die. It felt like I was walking along and the library fell on me. And I had to take the time to read all the books.
Got you.
And like, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like, you're very heady. I was like, there's a lot of information here of what we just went through. And I had to process. I didn't take time to process what just happened. Mm-hmm. And it was also it was a point of awakening to me, for me, about how the industry is, how people are. People have titles, but still have no power.
Oh yeah,
and also the how people. I learned a lot about what it takes for people to change. Meaning that if people are not uncomfortable enough, it's very difficult for them to change. So I could be asking someone to help me or something, but if the risk is too high for them, I'm not going to get their help.
Yeah.
So, and you see a lot of that in this country, especially during that time. Mm-hmm. Like, there are certain privileged people that don't get affected by certain things, and to participate in any fashion would mean that they would have to give something up. And if it's too great, why bother?
Why bother? Yeah.
And so I learned that. So after that break, again, it was another point of like healing and also reassessing, okay, what's next for me? And it took a minute, and I think I had lost a lot of trust. So I had to kind of take a leap of faith and just start applying for different jobs. During that time, I was assistant designer to some Broadway designers for off-Broadway productions. I did some shopping for different designers on Broadway, and also one of my favorite productions I worked on was Eclipsed. I was called to work with Clint Ramos's team because his assistant unfortunately had a medical injury, so he couldn't like be at full capacity. So he needed some additional help for the team. So that was my intro at public theater, working with him on that particular production. And then that production got brought to Broadway. So I was able to work with them to remount that on Broadway. And what was special about that was it was all Black female production.
So you're with your tribe now.
Yes. Lupita Nyong'o was the lead. Okay. Denai Guerrera was the playwright. A Black producer. It was just a magical space, and to be all Black on Broadway. I'll never forget being like, I think in the lobby space, or I forgot exactly where we were, but all that energy.
It's like we're here.
It's like we're here.
We're here.
Oh, this is magical.
On Broadway.
And this is special. Which is why I like watching Black Panther, the first Black Panther, and Wakanda Forever was special because those same people I work with are on the screen.
Yeah. They're in a movie.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real. It's
it
here.
also made it feel like, oh, that's tangible and that can happen for me.
Yeah.
And another part was the fact that they rolled and like they had their own creative community with each other. So if one got a job, they kind of helped put each other on. And I'm like, I want that.
Right.
And that's how I want to roll. That's how I want to move through the industry. And so I did some wardrobe supervising, some assistant designing. So I did a lot of support work for other people, and it was soon time for me to actually take the lead.
I believe when you take multiple roads, it builds character. It builds a strong foundation. You become very relentless, and you really know what success is, and you can see that. And it just builds like this armor, like I can do anything because I've been doing many things, but I'm going to own this road right here. This road that I'm in here in makeup, this is my road.
Yeah. And also just coming in from a different perspective, you're able to see the industry from a different angle.
Yeah, different lens.
And add more value, But I think some people that have, like for instance, I was a costume design. I had a residency at Fordham University for 2 semesters, one pre-pandemic and one after the lockdown. And as soon as they were studying everything for theater, costume design, set design, everything you think that can comprise theater, like acting.
Right, okay.
And they're in school for it. I never had that
experience. Yeah.
So it was really, my first goal was very nerve-wracking. My first semester at Fordham, I had imposter syndrome, and it felt like initially I felt like, because I haven't costume designed in a while, I was busy dressing. So first being not that far removed, but removed enough where it kind of like oozed in a little doubt. Like, am I supposed to be here, or what do I have to teach them? I was worried about them like pointing out everything, like what's she doing here? How is she teaching me?
Does she meet the criteria? She's on a checklist.
Yes, and also I had the pressure of the fact that Clint Ramos at the time was like the director of the program. So here's a Tony Award winning costume designer. I was like, hey, you want to work here? And I was like, sure.
You got the stamp, so that means you're enough.
I'm enough. So it was like it was like a massage to my ego. Like, you're where you're supposed to be.
And also too, I think, Angela, like sometimes like just being in the industry, when your people sees you and they tell you you're enough and you are good, you're great, and I want this for you, it touches here.
Yes.
It touches here that no one else could.
Yes, and I just wanted to do a really great job. So I think that the testament to that was that after the lockdown, I was called back earlier this year. Yes, to costume design another play. And my second go around working as a costume designer for Fordham, and working with the students. When I had the first production meeting, I came to slay and make sure my first line of defense is always my wardrobe. It's like, I gotta look fierce. I gotta, feel ready upon entering. And
Yes.
when I walked into the production room, everyone was like, her. My costume shop manager, we gave each other hugs. Like, I had developed true, genuine friendships. Her and her daughter recently saw the production that we work on together last night with her daughter. And she texted me, it's like, hey, we're here. And it's like, I want to know how this works. So I can't tell you. It's a secret. All the behind the scenes stuff. So knowing that working with people that fully see you and fully show up for you, I had so much support to do the work I need to do for me and also to help with the students. One of the students there, I tapped him to work with me on the production outside and created an internship for him.
Amazing.
And I hope he's doing pretty good now. I know I'm for sure he's doing great. But it was like,
look at you creating a little community.
Yeah, so I was like, that's the point of it all.
Yeah.
Like I always wanted better than what I had.
Right. Todd and I were just talking about that on the way over here.
It's like, why do things have to be difficult? I feel like the difficulty is not even because things are actually hard. The difficulty are those that gatekeep and want to keep things the same and maintain and control power. But with it's just with art, and it's just necessary for us to kind of break down those barriers and get. We need great work. And it needs to get out there. And the great work's not going to get out there if we're not breaking down these walls to make it happen.
Right. Exactly. And then also to being able to create a community that is of, your own tribe. And, tribe meaning that people in general that are going to show up, they're here for you and they show out. And I think that's great how you were able to navigate, your space, getting into film, TV, theater, and just having that community and that backing behind you. Like, Angela, you're great, you're fantastic, and we want you here. We want you here. On the way here, Todd and I, we were speaking about, just, having a community and having people that really are here for you. They come out. They show out, and it's a community that's, behind you, that's empowering you to do better, that's inspiring you. So I think that's a great way that you have, navigated your space and created a community that's for you and that wants to see you successful. So I think that's amazing. Now, we have spoken a lot offline about hair and makeup. And of course, wardrobe, yes. And how the looks and everything, marries together to create the overall character for whatever production we're doing and whatnot. So tell me, how important from your lens is hair and makeup to wardrobe in dressing clients, being on a production, working with characters?
Everything works in tandem. So it's incredibly important. Hair and makeup with costume help tell the story of the character and make the character believable. It helps the actor tap in to bring out that character for themselves, for the lens, for theater. So yeah, it's definitely important.
Because when I first started on a production, I was just like, when I saw all of the beards, all of the wigs, I'm just like, I don't see how this is going to look on this person. Ooh, I think this is, I don't know. I couldn't see it. And then when we started working together, and then I saw, the guard outfit, and then you put on the Lord of the Rings beard on. I was just like, okay, this is Razul. Okay, this is okay. So, but I was just like, okay, now I see what Angela's been telling me. Like, hey, this is, when it all comes together, it comes together. And it's important for the actor to feel, empowered to be, while they're in that role. So make sure you're here for this change at this time.
Yeah. And also, like, as a costume designer, you're kind of versed in a little bit in hair and makeup and in design, because as a costume designer, you're thinking about the full umbrella
Spectrum of everything.
And then everyone is also part of your team. So as a costume designer, I'm also like, I'm thinking about the attire, but I'm also thinking about brainstorming of how the makeup should look, brainstorming how the hair should look. You collaborating with like the hair designer and the makeup designer on that idea. So it's a collaborative effort for the overall vision.
Excellent. And what would you say was the most difficult part? Just being a dresser, because the viewers and listeners would, love to know, and also to be aware of and be mindful, getting into this industry isn't all glamorous. It still comes with a certain level of, thought process. Like, is this really for me? It comes with this much, and I've done my research. So tell me.
I remember I was watching an interview with the costume designer for Black Panther, Ruth Carter. And her mom was like, she did Ruth Carter, she did Spike Lee and all these different productions. And her mom was like, you just do people's laundry? She couldn't fathom. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. And I have a friend that said the same things. Like, people just think we do their laundry. They don't understand that we're helping them.
Like, it's more to it than that.
It's more to it than that. Like,
it's stitching, it's beadwork, it's, alterations, it's
not just
fittings, design,
you're helping the story.
Hats.
Yeah, you help the story come along. Like the quick changes, just from one look to the next in less than 20 seconds. So like the current production I'm on, like some of my quick changes, the quickest is like 20 seconds. As a dresser, everything's very technical, very physical. I think people don't realize that.
The ergonomics that goes along with it. Like, you have to be holding very heavy costumes, carrying baskets around.
I'm fortunate to work in a theater with an elevator. Some theaters do not have elevators. They have stairs. And sometimes your costume is like on the 7th floor. And you have to kind of get that for your quick change. So a lot of it's not accessible, which I really hope these theaters can work on, making more theaters accessible.
Exactly. Especially if you're dealing with big, musical numbers and heavy quick changes, heavy costume changes, hats, turbans, like all sorts of different things. And you're dealing with, props as well. So it's great that we have an elevator and, rubberized stairs.
And also, dressing is not just simply for theater. In fashion, there's dressers at fashion shows. Celebrities, they have their dressers. So the skill set of dressing someone is also, you're kind of there. I'm not gonna say confident. I can't find the word exactly right now, but it's mainly like it's so intimate, it's so personal, because people they're vulnerable. People are stripping down in front of you physically, clothes attire-wise, and also also mentally and spiritually, because they have to either get into character or they're trying to get themselves in their head in the game to go speak, or get in their head in the game to go stand in front of a crowd and perform or sing. So you're in their intimate space, and that requires a lot of trust.
Yes, I agree.
It's not for you to be there like, hey, take a selfie with me. And like,
it's not glamorous. It really isn't. Sometimes it's work. You have to be precise. You have to respect the actor's space.
Yes.
You have to know, what makes them feel comfortable going into the next change, how they, what order and what sequence they like.
Yeah,
they need to get into the next change. Like, I've seen you, like, there's like you hold like the pants out, you put the suspenders on, and then you do this, and they turn around, and like there's like a formula.
There's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
As a dresser on a theater production, every dresser has their choreography.
Yes,
everyone does.
That's the right word.
Like everyone does. The crew, all the crew does, and never for everyone to move through the show smoothly, but also to prevent any accidents.
Right.
Set pieces are being pulled up into the heavens and pushed and pulled, and people are running across backstage. You just don't want any accidents to happen in the dark.
Right.
Also, dressing requires a lot of problem solving. Mm-hmm. So what do you do when your quick changes? Like, for instance, last night, I do this change for the past 5 years, and somehow I pulled the wrong layer. How do I fix that? Because they can't see the next layer. They can't see what's coming, Right. So how do I fix that? I have to quickly snap. My other fellow adjustment jumps in, and we're trying to get the actor on and get them ready, and they're good to go, and they run on. Sometimes something rips. Sometimes something gets stuck. They're jammed. Breaks. How do you fix that in less than a minute? So you have to be
able to problem solve like in a quick second. Like if a zipper breaks, you're able to
and
just
also
like
have a really great head under pressure. Because one thing with theater, everything's live. There's no cut like this. There's no editing.
Take me as I come, honey.
Yes. And sometimes you have days where everything goes perfectly, and some days where like it doesn't, and you just have to be okay with it. So I think learning the process of like letting go and leaving things where they are, and trusting yourself, respecting people and spaces, constantly learning and studying.
I'm being just, every day make it like a point to be like, I'm in this space and I want to be better. These are the steps I need to take. And I see you journal a lot. So even just, simple things like just writing down, journaling, like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. This is my change. This is what I would like to do. And just, just being able to repeat the sequence of everything. And it just brought back a memory when I first started under production, right? And this is how crucial wardrobe and hair and makeup is to each other. It was like my first week and I had to do a split track.
Yes.
I didn't know what a split track was. I'm like, what is a split track? Like, what is this? What's going on? And I forgot one of the beards.
No.
And you were dressing your actor and whatnot. And I was just like, well, he's not on my track. So that's someone in my mind. I'm like, that's someone else's problem. And he left in his costume, pissed off. I was like, why does the actor look so pissed off? He didn't have his beard on. So he's not fully in character.
Yes.
So you came and you're just like, you missed a change, right? And I was just like, no, I didn't. My regular person is this person. And you're like, no, he's not here because this person is in his place. That's why we read a split track. She's like, you know what? He said, you know what? Come. You brought the paper, you brought the split track, and you broke it down. And that's what I needed that day to survive that weekend. And we talk about this all the time. Like, and just like, you'll be fine, you're doing great, but he needs his beard on. You're like, second show, he needs his beard. So let's not forget.
Like, I've been doing my job in where I've been for like 5-6 years now, and things happen. And like, how you recover is what counts. Yeah. You can't be in the moment and like freezing because it's live. The show must go on.
Right. But I would never forget, like, I learned the split track from a dresser's perspective. So now I can see any split track and I just know exactly what it is.
Yes.
Because it was like seeing it, like how important it is that, the beards, the wigs need to marry with the wardrobe.
Yeah, things are shifting and changing.
And be on and be ready.
It's like, and also like a split track is when members of the production, the company, are compensating for a smaller cast. So they take on different roles and they kind of fill in and stuff for each other. So things that would typically be in order, or not. So you have to figure out, okay, I usually have this person at this time, but this person is going to be compensating for this person.
It's like a mind trick.
So you have to first really know your track, and it teaches you to understand everyone else's track, because you really have to work together as a team. So like when the split tracks go down, the dressers get together and we figure out what to pack in our baskets or set or do it for our presets. So we're not missing anything.
Right.
And the same for hair and makeup. We talk to you to make sure the hair and the wigs are where they need to be
in line
because
for the character. Yeah. So, and I think like when, with any show, like even film, TV, theater, when, hair and makeup and wardrobe marries, we're talking about like, live, those split tracks, those like live moments where you have those extreme changes, those last minute stuff that just come up. I'm like, you have to be on point.
I do want to say that working in theater refines your craft and makes you on point with everything you have to do, because it's live. So you're not thinking about just that moment. You're thinking about the whole scope of everything, how it's going to play out. So everything you do has a bit more intention.
Yes, absolutely. It's more intention. It's precision, it's focus. You have to be on and you have to be perfect every time. Or if you're not perfect, you're consistent.
Yes.
And you're going through those quick changes, you're going through with your track and whatnot. But for me, it just requires a certain level of focus, and you have to be on. And you have to be willing to take those hits as they come and be able to recover, be relentless, and, be ready to work.
Yes. And also it allows you to trust your team and your crew.
Yes.
Seeing people show up for you and support you has been the best experience I've had working in theater. People know your track or know people are watching it. I've seen productions, even the production I'm on, I've seen times where someone, like a swing, might accidentally leave their notes somewhere because, they're busy dealing with a particular costume issue. And I've watched all of the crew help that person. You're supposed to be here. And you're supposed to be here right now, and just help guide them through the rest of the show. Yeah. Because everyone else not only knows their track, they kind of also know where you're supposed to be as well. So we help uplift each other, and we have each other's back. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
And I will say this again. I'll never forget because, my first week, it was tough. And, for someone to come and hold my hand and say, like, I got you. I really got you. And I want to show you, and I want you to be successful in this industry. But also I want you to know this change, and I'm going to help you. It means a lot because sometimes, you only get one chance, right? You only get one chance and you have to be perfect. And, for us, we're the minority and everyone's looking. And, you're like, Kelly, I see you. And I want this for you. And you championed me, and you're just like, you're going to get this. Yes. And I'm here for you. And I really love that.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime, girl. We have, I think on our production, I'm used to, it's predominantly white in a lot of the spaces I've been in. And this is the first production I've been on where there's more people of color. And, as dressers, it's still kind of predominantly white. So when I see other people of color, especially Black, we see each other. And I think most recently, we employed 2 new Black dressers. And I remember training them, because part of also being a dresser is that's when the teaching comes into play. You have to know how to teach. And I've learned that not everyone's a really great teacher. And my education background allowed me to use that as a skill set. So here, me teaching at Fordham and Harlem Children's Zone, and now I'm teaching here in my job. And you learn a lot about people and their backgrounds because of being of color or Black. Is you come into spaces with a particular type of baggage because you're not given, you either, especially with Black women, they're either probably the head of household. They have so many different responsibilities than probably their white counterparts. That they got to think of. Like for me, coming into this job, had so much anxiety of like, I don't want to go move. I need this. I don't want to move backwards because I had a lot of hardships. And I felt that from the new dressers that were coming on board, that they needed this because they didn't want to go backwards. Right. And then the mindset and the pressure of the fact that it's hard to get in, period.
Yeah.
So you're putting all this pressure on yourself to make it because you need this. And you don't see many people like you.
Exactly.
So it affects how you learn. You might be a bit frazzled. It's happened to me. But I've witnessed it from dressers that were of color that would come in, that they had this extra baggage that it prohibited them from focusing, and I would have to pull them aside to like breathe and remind them like you deserve to be here, because some of it is also not feeling that they're worthy.
Yes.
And fearing that if they make a mistake, then they're out. So they're coming in with the additional pressure of like, I must be perfect.
Yes, that's that being perfect mindset.
And being perfect, there's no such thing as being perfect. All it does is cripple you.
It does.
They're not giving the same breathing room. And I've seen my other counterparts who are white that are like, oh, this person is not that great or great. I'm like, you don't even realize what this person is going through. You get to just wake up every day and deal strictly with you and come to work. This person here is taking care of a sibling or taking care, has responsibility, real life, real stuff. And then they're trying to handle home and also come here and trying to do this.
Right.
So I had those same sisters, I call them, that we see each other, and they've had moments where after they finished training with me and held me by my hand and said, thank you. Even us, like we see them, and we had one that said she was going to come back. He said, you were like, no, you're not. You're going to come back. I was just like,
no, you're not. You're going to come back. I told her, I was like, you're here. It's like, and you're worthy of being in this space.
Yeah, and they'll be like, well, I think they don't want me here. It's like, who cares about what they want? They'll get used to you and they'll deal with it. And you're worthy of being here. And I've just given them tips and tools to be able to handle their own anxieties, they have their own traumas, and they're also breaking cycles. And you're a cycle breaker. Sometimes you're the only one. You feel alone. Now I'm a cycle breaker, so like I empathize quickly. Yeah. And I had instances where I just pull them aside and like, no, you're worthy of being here. Take a deep breath. You're not in your body right now. You need to be in your body so you can focus on this change. And just a constant reminder of you are worthy of being here. One of both of them, I remember one of them told me, it's like, when I first came through like the bunker to my other she was trailing behind another dresser. She was training with another dresser, and she saw me. She's like, I saw you. And I was like, I see another. I said, girl, I saw you too, And then there was another dresser, Black, former Broadway dancer, legend in her own right. And here she is.
Are we talking about the queen?
Yes. She pulled me aside one day. I was like in her section of the bunker, and we held hands and we talked. I said, Angela, I just want to tell you that when I saw you, I want to do my best for you. I just like, I'm sorry. It's like, oh. But like,
you got this. You got it.
Moments like that, like that's why you're doing it?
Yeah. Have tissue?
Yeah.
Oh. You're doing it, honey. Yeah. You center stage, baby. That's why you center stage.
I'm like, you don't get it because you have the privilege of constantly seeing yourself all the time, that you don't get what it's like to like not in those spaces.
To be in those spaces and just, the feeling of, you're finally accepted and we're all here and we're equal. It's the same playing field.
Yes. And I think another thing of the dresser, what I realized, like especially Union Local 764, there's a lack of diversity. Well, I'm not sure how it is everywhere else, but I don't see enough of us. And a lot of that is just on average, access to information, how to get in. There's a lot of nepotism.
Yeah.
And the information is just like not accessible. So you just have to, a lot of it's word of mouth. Like once I like got in through my friend, everything was just like applying in word of mouth. And then for a while, this interview is like the first interview I had in any capacity in a while because everything's been, it's a blessing. It's like everything's
a very guarded, industry. And it's, luckily now in this day and age, there is more program that has more of inclusivity, diversity, and, brings, more people of color to center stage.
Yes.
So I'm hoping, for all unions that, that's at the forefront. Local 798, my union, they're taking heavy initiative for bringing more people of color, into the industry and into more productions. And I think 764 will follow on that path as well.
Yes. And I think another thing for what I think just bringing it back to the question you asked me about, like, what are the things about the industry that kind of want to change or whatever, and I think is the pay discrepancy. Because I'm lucky enough to make over 50 grand a year. But I know like props and like stagehands, they make double to triple what we make. And you're working the same show, same amount of time, but they get to live in homes and houses and get pools. I remember having a stagehand like, I'm putting a pool in my backyard. I'm like, that must be nice. I'm still paying off my student loans.
Right.
Yeah,
because I find like, even just like, with, dressing and in dressing, being in fashion, being a costume designer, it takes a lot to specialize in that field. I mean, going to college, like that's, the debt that comes with it. Like there's loans that comes with it that, getting into certain fields, you should be afforded. They should, really think about like, this amount is, deserving because it's a specialized skill. Yeah. It's a trade.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot to be educated and to be a professional and to be, to be in the industry. So it should match.
Yeah. And also like, it's also considered feminine work. Like initially how the unions erupted, like, or started, like wardrobe was considered like women's work, and like stagehands and props more like for the men. And I think I'm not sure like the full history of like the origination of the unions, but I think like so stagehands and props was were for men, and I think the wardrobe union was created for like their wives and is considered more women's work. So the pay discrepancy, just the wardrobe, hair and makeup, they get paid less than like stagehands on average. And it does not make any sense since we do with hair and makeup, especially with costumes, especially our pandemic, we're in the face of so many actors and actresses.
We're at risk.
We're at risk. So it doesn't make any sense for us to get paid less.
Now, Angela, tell me what's next for you. I want to know what's in your trajectory moving forward. What are you going to get into?
What's next for me right now is self-care. Self-care. And I took a bit of another break this past summer from working on different productions. I was working on I think 2 to 3. I finished the film last year, and which got released this year. And also designed it for them. Mm-hmm. And designed another project all while still working at Aladdin at the same time. Mm-hmm. So my body was like, you need a break. So I've been taking a break since then. This has been my first like real creative thing. Yeah. So thank you for this experience.
You're so welcome. Mm-hmm.
So going forward right now, it's just playing it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to dive back into focus on my own creative vision. I want to play around with just getting some ideas out and just kind of testing things out and seeing where it lands me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're showing me some of your renderings, some of your merchandise. I'm just like, oh, this is so fabulous. This is so good.
My dream ultimately is to have my own production company. We're different. And I just want to be comprised of different, like an artist collective. So we all just show kind of the same jazz, the Lincoln Center, like orchestra mentality. Like they're powerful together, but individually they're just as powerful, and they just all show up each other on different projects. And I kind of want something like that. And a production company, and also focus on my own fashion line. And my ultimate dream is be great to costume design for musicians and different artists and for their tours.
Where can our listeners and viewers find ya?
They can find me on IG at The Empress of Style, and my website, The Empress of Style by Design, or even on LinkedIn under Angela M. Fludd.
Okay, very nice. Well, thank you, Angela. It was such a pleasure having a sit down with you. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
So did I.
There's a lot of stuff that I thought that I knew about you that I didn't know. And I really enjoy you, both professionally and personally. Like, you're such a gem.
Thank you, Dalton. Likewise, you're a dream to work with, and many blessings on your podcast. And thank you for this phenomenal experience.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Center Stage Babes, for joining me this week. Please subscribe to our social media handles, Instagram and TikTok at Center Stage Beauty Podcast. See you next time.